this was a long, fun, challenging day. It's now, what time is it? Wow, 6:18, and I started work this morning at 6. Cutting fruit, making sandwiches, taking names and kicking watermelons. Then I came home and working on bows. And my activities, and I'm going to get into that, kind of leads me into the whole discussion risk versus benefits. You know, this is very complicated, and I could make a 2 hour long video at least, if not 2 weeks. But let's just kind of start simply here, okay? And you're going to have to fill in the blanks. But let's just say this bow is finished. Let's say Robert's bow is finished. And I didn't bend it, though I will. I don't want to lead Robert astray. But let's just say I made a D-bow. No Osage, a safe wood, reasonable draw weight, let's say 35 pounds, for example, at decent draw length. And I didn't risk anything by poor choice of woods. I used Osage, followed a growth ring nicely. Excellent, right there. Not going for an outrageous draw weight and draw length. Not expecting too much from this piece of wood. And I didn't risk ruining it by shaping it weirdly or badly, breaking a tip, recurving it. Low risk. Low risk. High benefit. I've got a fun little bow that can do all sorts of stuff. Now, if I was to add a little reflex to it, heat it, let's say, fire harden it, and bend it backwards a little bit, a reasonable amount, the risk is low as far as the process, because bending this stuff, especially at such a low level of radius, easy. Stick it over the grill or however you want to do it. Put it in a form. Put a little bend in it. No big deal. The reward? Have a faster bow. And being Osage at a reasonable draw weight, it doesn't necessarily have to affect the draw length. I'm not maxing out the draw length, and I've made a quicker bow because it's got a higher initial draw weight because it's reflex. Now let's say I deflex the limbs. I'm going to get a longer draw length, less initial draw weight, de-stressing the bow somewhat. It's not going to be stressed as much just at brace because it's got slightly deflexed limbs. Draw it longer, and even though it doesn't have as high of an initial draw weight, it's got a longer draw length. Draw length is exactly one of the major points about regarding Aerocast. Did I risk much deflexing the limbs a little bit? No, because I'm doing it against the single growth ring. So this is strong. It'll take that deflex easy. Follow the steps, get it hot, bend a little deflex into it, no risk. Now let's step up a little bit. So going. Benefits. I'm not going to get into the engineering and the geometry and stuff, but there are benefits to this design, including ease of tillering. For some reason, it's more forgiving as far as getting it even when it's going. But the risk of getting these gentle bends in, follow the steps, heat it properly, bit it form or over your knee, however. The center handle where it's thicker, I tend to, when I bend it over my knee, move it around. I don't just stick it at a constant point. I'll kind of jockey it around. Very low risk because especially Osage likes to bend when it's hot. Benefits, I'll let you sort that out. Let's jump woods. Hickory. Maybe the risk the bending is a little tiny bit more, but it's not that much because they are gentle bends. Not the bear, the bow. You're dating yourself. Benefits, same benefits as this little gull wing. Now let's add something. Suppose, and I'm going to call this neutral. When I set it on a table, both tips are touching at the same time the handle is. Boom, neutral. If it's reflexed, I put it on the table. I can tip it because one tip is, in this case, about 3 inches above, 3.5 inches above the table. I can go clickety, clickety, click. With this one, and I generally go for like 3.5 inches above, clickety, click. Same with this hickory bow. Same with this longer Osage bow. And then adding the sinew, add a little more reflex. Very safe. It's a good design, a very forgiving design. I didn't put severe bends in it. The risk was low creating this thing. It's good to go. Now let's take this 3-bend bow, 1, 2, 3, 3 bends, and turn it into a 5-bend bow. A couple ways you can do a 5-bend bow. Now suppose they aren't neutral. Suppose the tips are touching the table, but the handle's perched above the table. Nah. I want to have it so at least it clickety clickety clicks a little bit. I want reflex in these things, a good initial draw weight, and then the sinew will add even more. I have to say that this hickory gull wing that was worked down to one growth ring in the heartwood, this is a heartwood bow. This thing is gorgeous. This is like the epitome of my gull wing building. This is utter perfection. But pat myself on the back. But suppose I wanted to go back to neutral or a little bit of clickety click reflex. I call it kicking the tips. It's not a recurve, it's just a little reflex in here. Get it hot, push it down on something like you're straightening arrows, put your palm on this wood, and just give it a minor kick. Very low risk. It's a very minor bend. It's not going to affect this bow except for the positive because I want at least neutral. Maybe a little reflex, but kicking the tips is a good cheat. Suppose you were doing this and for some reason you had more bend in here than you did the center. Boom, I'd kick the tips. Even on a short bow like this. These are the same length. I'm going to touch the tips. Look at that. So the amount of reflex is half of that. They're even. What about going beyond kicking the tips and creating a Cupid's bow, recurving the tips? The risk? Following the steps in Osage, especially in wood this thin, you can recurve this. It's as easy as falling off an Osage log. The hickory, it's higher risk because it's more stubborn. Even these thin things, you're impatient, something happens, you didn't get it hot enough, you didn't steam it long enough, you could break it. You could have created utter perfection in the world of gull wings. Rats. I ruined it. And unlike this maple bow where I broke a tip, I cracked a tip recurving it, I can't saw this off. Look at this, would be like a mini bow. You'd have to give it to like the tiniest little person you ever ran across. And so the risk is more by creating a Cupid's bow. What are the benefits? With a 47-inch bow, I think these are 47 inches, you're not going to get any benefits. If this Osage is a very light bow, really lightweight, you're going to get a benefit in speed. It's going to be a better bow. But at our weights, no, all you're going to wind up doing is overstressing the bow and reducing your draw length. And again, maybe it's faster because it's got recurves. You're getting less draw length out of it. And I would not, Sam I am, I would not turn a 47-inch bow or 48-inch into a Cupid's bow. It just isn't worth it to me. I did one Cupid's bow in this length in hickory, and I wound up selling it to a fellow on the Rosebud Reservation as a medicine bow, because as an actual usable bow, I took a perfectly good hickory gull wing and I lessened it as a workable bow by turning it into a Cupid's bow. It looked cool. It's a great powwow bow. But as far as a usable bow, this gull wing matched against exact same kind of wood, same length, Cupid's bow, this one's better. They're short bows. They have limited draw length. Don't give any draw length up. The Osage, a little more forgiving. Now let's take a look at this. This is a 51-inch Osage bow. See, it tips, it's longer. 51-inch Osage, if it's Osage, or if it's mulberry, which I call Osage Light because it has a lot of the same properties. It's just less brawny than Osage. Or yew, which I've never made a gull wing out of yew. Someday I will. A 51-inch, because you recurve it and you've got this length more than that shorter one, plus a little bit of bend in the handle, you've got a workable length. And an Osage mulberry or yew, you can get a good draw length at a good draw weight with a Cupid's bow. Risk versus benefits. There's no benefit in having a 47-inch Cupid's bow. Absolutely none. I might be wrong. I don't think I am. That's my experience. I've made a lot of these things. Don't do it. Unless you just want a powwow bow. Okay, on to what I've just did. This thing is trussed up like a Thanksgiving Day turkey. This is that flat bow, recurved. And again, low risk recurving it. But it's kind of odd. This was a nice, about 50-pound bow, and I was shooting it just as a plain old D bow, right? But the feller wants it recurved. And so it adds complexity to it. So you got to follow the steps. This was an extremely wonky, roller coastery, off-center stave. This was ginky and snaky and knotty. And it would have been a lot easier. Good bow, risk versus benefits, right? Would have been a perfectly good just D bow. It was a D bow. I was shooting it. There's arrow stuck in the straw bale there from it. But 60-inch Osage flat bow, recurving, a lot of benefits to it. This wood, this design, just a simple D bow, a flat bow, benefits and speed and all sorts of cool things from recurving it. But unlike just the D bow that just had straight limbs, nothing special really. Oh, they're special. I shouldn't have said that. I didn't have to make sure that everything was straight. And so you can actually kind of see the scorch marks on it. I heated this thing up. I've got a block here, got a block here, and I've got a block here. I had to basically over straighten it, clamp it down, and then bake the absolute crap out of it to get a side bend. I had to move this limb over 3 inches, side bend, whoa, and flatten it a little bit, and straighten the recurves, because one went that way and the other one went this way. So I had it clamped on this thing, stick it back on here. Where's the center? Right there. Clamp down and barbecue grilled it over charcoal. And then added clamps to flatten it because this thing was like a stinking roller coaster. And at the end, it's still in the clamps. I'm looking at it. Well, that tip has to go this way. Man, change one thing, another thing changes. Heated the tips and then held them to straighten them. Yeah, I'm going to have to. Well, maybe. This is tough. Now it looks straight. And you have to really be careful when you're doing this, or else you create the bow, you heat it, you shape it, straighten it, you sinew back it. And if it's not perfectly straight, it won't look right. So let's see here. I'll put the string on here. I appreciate your patience if you're watching this whole thing. Put it to this center of this recurve. it looks perfectly straight to me. Everything looks like it's lined up. Everything looks good. You know, and all it takes is my eye being off a little bit, calling it good, sinew backing it, waiting for it to dry, stringing it up, and seeing that, crap, it's off center. Fortunately, I've got 60 inches. It looks straight. 60 inches to work with. Maybe, even though I sinew back it with a heat gun, I can tweak it a little bit, but I don't know, man. Also, it was 50 pounds, plus or minus. It was pretty close to 50 pounds when I was shooting it, but since I recurved it, it upped the weight. When I sinew back it, I'm just kind of thinking here. Also wondering, how the heck did I get that gouge in there? It's like a knife went in there. Not going to affect anything, though. It probably will get sanded off when I final tiller it. That with Osage, I can actually, to lower the weight back down to 50 pounds, you can actually round the belly in Osage, and it's not going to, it can handle it like you can. Well, hope you got something out of this. Yeah, that looks straight. I think that I was actually successful. Looking forward to like sinew backing all these things. I still have this one to do. I still have to get with Gabriel, send this one off. Yeah, productive. And I have I've got tomorrow off. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on bows. Well, my friends, I have talked long enough. This will be the bow that I look at when we're in the house watching Tulsa King. I like admiring these things. Yes. Thank you.